Hello, everyone. My name is Blythe Neer, and I am a professional dog trainer as well as a certified trick dog instructor. And today's masterclass is going to be all about crate training and separation. This is a really important thing for puppies to learn, but I also know that it's very difficult for puppy owners to learn how to do correctly and how to manage the not so pleasant symptoms of just starting crate training and separation. So, to start, I just want to tell you a little bit about my dogs. This will be important because you'll get to learn a little bit about the two different ways that I trained them. So, this is my 2-year-old Labrador. Her name is Quimby. She is a mix between show and field lines. So, she has the show lab for half of her parentage and a field/hunting line lab for the other half. She is highly food motivated. She will also work for things like a tennis ball or a frisbee, but her main source of reinforcement is food. That's pretty typical of most labs. My second dog, his name is Melvin. He is now 16 weeks old, and he is a working line border collie. He has extreme amounts of energy, and this is due to his breed, but also because he is working line. Show line of any dog is generally a bit more calm. Working line is usually more high energy, more motivated, and really need jobs. So Melvin is not as food motivated. He is very, very toy motivated. And because of this, he made my crate training process completely different. And he is actually the inspiration behind making this class. I figured if I, a trainer who has done this for many different puppies, if I am struggling, there are probably other people out there struggling just as much as I did. So you can thank him for this lovely class. So, my two different dogs kind of have two different stories. With Quimby, I didn't quite know any better. The only way of crate training that I had learned about was basically just to let her cry it out. She obviously had a schedule. I made sure she was fed and all of those things. But at night and when she needed to take naps, I pretty much just let her cry in her crate. And the other method that I used was all food rewards. She was pretty happy to go in her crate as long as there was something like a stuffed Kong or a bone or something with peanut butter, since that's her favorite. So that's kind of what I did with Quimby. Melvin, on the other hand, I have learned quite a bit more. I don't like the cry it out method anymore. I find it a little bit unsettling for both the owner and the dog. So I knew I wanted to use positive reinforcement and special conditioning to help him love his crate. He also doesn't love food as much as Quimby, so I had to use both food and toy rewards. And I actually think this benefited him more than just using food. Overall, his crate training was much more work. With the cry it out method, though it is frustrating and hard to listen to, it is also quite a bit less work. You don't have to do as much, you just kind of have to put up with the noise. The other thing is that Melvin came crate trained from the breeder. Now, that doesn't mean that he was perfectly quiet in his crate, obviously, because we made this class. But this just means that his breeder spent time out of her day feeding the puppies in crates and just getting them used to the way the crates looked and how they were supposed to act in the crate. So first we need to learn why we should crate train in the first place. The biggest reason that I crate train is basically for my sanity as well as managing my puppy or dog's behavior. Crate training can help you potty train much easier, can help you redirect your dog's chewing onto their toys instead of your furniture. It can promote relaxation. And if your dog is ever injured in the future or has to have a surgery, even things like spay or neuter surgery, they're going to have to stay in a crate to help them rest and recover. So it's important to have our crates conditioned and our dogs very comfortable in our crates for those things. You can also prevent separation anxiety by using a crate, and you can prevent your dog from injuring themselves while loose in the house or even destroying your couches, your doors, those sorts of things. So, the supplies that you need for this lesson and for crate training in general, you will need a plastic or wire crate. If you get a wire crate, you'll need a divider. You can get multiple sizes of a wire crate, but if your puppy will grow very big, it's much easier just to get the size of crate that you expect your dog will need when they're older and use the divider to make it bigger and smaller as they're a puppy. If you are using a wire crate, it is very convenient to invest in a crate cover. I've found that most of my puppies like to try and drag their blankets from the outside of the crate to the inside, and that's really dangerous. So the crate cover is good because they can't pull anything in. For the plastic crate, you could use a blanket on top if you need to, or you can just leave it as is. You will also need high-value food rewards. So those are things like hot dogs, chicken, sausage, peanut butter, cheese, pretty much anything that's soft, meaty, kind of stinky will probably be high value for your puppy or dog. You will need a tug toy for those higher drive dogs who have a bit of play motivation. And you'll also need a harness and leash. So before we get into modifying our puppy or dog's behavior, we need to know what is normal. So if your puppy is whining and barking in their crate, that's totally normal. Dogs are not genetically programmed to be alone. Now, if your puppy is whining and barking so much that they throw up, that's not so normal. If your puppy's biting and chewing on the crate, most of the time that's normal. If your puppy is biting and chewing on the crate so much that they're hurt or destroying the crate, definitely not normal. If your puppy's jumping on the sides of the crate to get out, pretty normal. If they're flinging themselves frantically to get out, that's not so normal. So those sorts of things are things that you need to know in order to determine whether you can just do some behavior modification at home or if you really need professional help. So now we're just going to take a second and watch Melvin, my little puppy, during his first couple of days in the crate. I recorded it on purpose so that I could show you kind of normal puppy crate behavior. And you can also set a camera up on your puppy just to make sure that they aren't displaying any abnormal signs. So let's go ahead and watch that. Okay, now that you've seen what even my puppy looked like in his crate the first couple of days, let's get started on how to change this. So we're going to have to go through a few different steps. The first step is just to create a positive association with the crate. This is really important and cannot be glossed over because this is going to be the base of everything else. The next thing we need to do is create a drive or motivation for the crate. We need to teach our dogs to relax inside the crate, and then we need to teach them to relax in their crate while we are gone. The last step is just going to be troubleshooting and making sure that we aren't going wrong anywhere, and that's why we haven't made progress. So, the first part of crate training is to build a positive association. The first thing you need to figure out is what is high value to your dog? What is the highest value to your dog? So if your dog is toy motivated, you will know because they are super interested in their toys. They're maybe not so interested in taking a treat from you. But even the toy motivated dogs are still going to need food for building a positive association with the crate. So I want you to take a little bit of time and think about which treats are your dog's favorite. What treats really capture their attention? Do they get more interested in their toys? And those are all things that are going to be important to keep in mind while you're building a positive association to the crate. So the first thing we need to do is start slow and build from our starting point. The first thing is to examine your dog's current situation and past experiences with the crate. So if your dog right now is already pretty comfortable in their crate, they're just having a hard time with barking and whining, then you don't have to start as slow as someone who has a dog from the shelter who maybe is terrified of being shut in the crate. So you're going to have to look at your specific dog and make your decisions based on how they are. However, if you're not sure, you can always start at the lowest point and build up from there. Starting lower than you need is never going to hurt your dog. So by starting lower, I mean start with just the tray in your wire crate. Don't even ask your dog to go inside the crate. Just take the tray out and sprinkle their food on the tray. Let them walk around on the tray. Let them hear the noise that their nails make. Let them hear the noise of the food, those sorts of things. You need to use lots of food and treats. So the way we build a positive association with something is by feeding very, very high value food in the thing that is scary or that we're trying to condition. So this means tossing treats in the crate, tossing treats out of the crate, just kind of helping your dog move in and out of the crate as they please, but also using the treats to enhance their experience. So just remember that every dog is going to be different, and if you need help with your specific dog figuring out where you need to start, go ahead and leave me a comment, or you can send me an email, and I'd be happy to help you. So some other important points are to keep your expectations low or non-existent. Just go into building positive association by thinking, I'm going to feed my dog as many treats as I possibly can, and whether or not they go in their crate or touch the crate doesn't matter. I'm just going to make being in the presence of the crate super, super exciting. You also want to keep your spirits high and excited. So if you are frustrated or nervous or unsure, don't use that time to build a positive association with the crate. Go and take a walk, go play fetch, go do something fun, and then come back when you're a little bit more relaxed and try again. Remember to make everything fun, and remember that you also want to focus on your dog moving out of the crate as well as in. Don't just feed all the treats inside the crate. You want to help them get that motion in and out so that they're not afraid of moving in and out of the crate. At this point in time, you don't want to use any cues or commands. You don't want to start using any words. We are just getting our dogs comfortable with the crate. So with those points being said, we're going to go ahead and watch a video. And that video is going to demonstrate how I build a positive association with my dogs, with their crate. In this video, we're going to be learning how to create a positive association with the crate. And for this, for Melvin, I have chosen his favorite ball and a mixture of some super soft, meaty treats, as well as some of his kibble, just to kind of break it up a little bit. So I'm going to set his ball up until we're ready for that part. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. So this is where you will want to start for a puppy that is new to the crate. And if you seem to have any difficulties with this stage, you can go even simpler and start with just pulling out the bottom part of the crate and doing all of these steps with just the bottom part. So you can tell that Melvin's already pretty comfortable with the crate, but for demonstration purposes, this is how we built positive association. So you just want to take some super high value treats. You want to kind of show it to them. Remember, this part has no expectations. So we're really just trying to get our dogs to have fun going in their crate. You toss them in. And I usually like to toss the super high value treats inside the crate, and then I toss some not so exciting treats out. And we just make it super fun. Just toss treats here and there, toss some in the cage. I guess I shouldn't call it a cage. Then toss some in the crate. Use your super high value treats. Reward them every time they go in. Then just toss a few out. Let your dog kind of come and go inside the crate. This is just building a really positive association with the crate itself and making sure that we prevent any fears from developing in the crate. So we're just going to do that. Toss a few out. And this is kind of an extra step that I took to help desensitize Melvin. This is Melvin's all-time favorite toy, so I actually have 2 of them so that he can play a little bit of fetch. You can tell he's already really interested in them. So for this, he only gets the ball if he goes inside the crate. But this is a game you don't want to start until you've already done the food rewards and made sure that your dog's comfortable with the crate. So he is ready to go. So all we're going to do is toss one in. He's going to go take it out. He's going to bring it back to me for the next one. Good job. Then we can do this a few times, just kind of play a game.
Now that we have a positive association with the crate, we want to build drive and motivation for the crate. We want our dogs to want to go inside the crate. We don't want to have to force them. And this is also where toys come in. This can make it way more exciting for those dogs like my Melvin, who love toys much more than food. However, if your dog is like my Quimby, you can just use the food, and that's totally fine too. You want to make the right choice easy. And most of my knowledge from building Drive for the Crate comes from Susan Garrett's Crate Games, which is a super awesome course. I like it a lot. It is geared towards sport dogs. However, I prefer that my dogs are completely relaxed in their crate. And so I changed a few things about how I used her crate games. So that's actually what I'm sharing with you today.
For this step, we are learning how to build our dog's drive for the crate. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that your environment is boring. So I have pretty much nothing in this room that he can get into. It's just a blank room, and I have his all-time favorite toy in my hand. So all you're going to do, you might have to start with your dog on a harness or a leash for this, and that's totally okay. So we're just going to sit and wait for our dogs to enter the crate. And this is just going to take a little bit of patience. No big deal if it takes a long time. If it's taking too long, you can go ahead and throw a few treats in there for a few repetitions. Yes! As soon as your dog steps in the crate, you're going to give them the reward. They can come out as fast as they want, but as soon as they're out of the crate, you get really boring, not exciting. As soon as they enter the crate, you're going to get excited and they're going to get all the rewards. Something that also helps is if you look where you want your dog to go. So we'll just wait for him to go in. Sometimes it takes patience. I'm going to put his toys away where he can't see them. He's very close. you see he jumped in, he gets his reward. And we're just going to continue playing this until he starts to get faster and faster going in his crate. And again, you can always do this step with food rewards instead of toy rewards. Toy rewards is just what works for Melvin.
Good boy, yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to be patient, but it really does pay off.
Yes, good boy. Good boy, Melvin. You did it. Yeah, yeah. Good job. Good boy.
So once we have that beginning sort of drive to go in the crate to get the reward, then we can start working on relaxing and building drive for staying in the crate.
Now that we have some drive for going in the crate, we need to build drive to stay inside the crate. It's great to have a dog that wants to go in, but do they actually want to stay in their crates? So all you're going to do is unlatch the door of your crate, grab a treat, open the crate, feed the treat inside, and then you're going to close and latch the crate again. If your puppy moves forward, the door closes. They can't come out. So we're going to practice this about 10 times, and then we're going to start allowing our puppy to come out of the crate. And you'll see this a bit more clearly in the video, so don't worry about taking notes or anything like that. It'll make much more sense once we watch our video. But before we watch the video, I want to make sure that you make it easy for your dog. And that's why we use a harness and a leash at first. This is just helping our dogs to understand the right thing to do and making it more likely that they're going to do the right thing that gets them a reward. You're going to ignore all of the bad things. So if they bark, you're going to ignore it. If they whine, you're going to ignore it. If they jump on you, ignore it. The only things that you are going to do are reward the good things. You're going to reward them when they go in the crate. You're going to reward them when they lay down. You can reward eye contact, things like that. You always want to start crate time with these games. So I'm going to go ahead and play our crate game video. And this is the procedure that I use before I start leaving my puppy in the crate for longer amounts of time. So I hope that this is helpful. And as always, remember, you can send me questions to my email or you can comment below. So let's take a second and watch our video.
Now that our dogs have a drive for going in the crate, we want to start building their drive for staying inside the crate. So we're going to warm up with a few rounds,
Yes, good boy.
of just going inside the crate. We're going to wait for him to go back in one more time, and then we're going to start our games once he's done itching. You okay there, buddy? So we'll just wait them out.
Yes, good boy. Good job.
So we'll toss the treat in and we'll close the door. We're not going to latch it or do anything yet. We're just going to close it, feed a few treats as it's closed, and then we're going to open the door and say our release word. So you want to say release or free or something like that. Ready? Release! We'll give him a few boring treats for coming out. So he's going to go right back in. He'll get some treats inside. We'll close the door. No latching this time. We'll feed a few treats through the bars. We'll say release and feed him a few boring treats on the outside. So once you can get this step pretty clean, as you can see, Melvin is looping pretty clean. He's going straight into his bed once he comes out for the most part. Then you can start building the drive for staying in the crate even when the door is open. So yes, we'll reward him for going in. We'll close the door. This time we're going to latch it. Good boy. You can reward them for staying calm. And after a few seconds, this is the part that is really important to get the motions correct. So you're going to want to unlatch the door, reach into your treat pouch or your treat bowl on top of the kennel, grab a few treats, open the door, and feed the treats towards the back of the crate, and immediately shut the door and latch it. This is to keep our dogs inside the crate and to help them learn that they don't get released until we say the release word. But this is also helping them to learn that they only get their rewards when they stay inside their crate. So again, we're going to start that whole procedure over. We're going to unlatch the door, hold it, grab some treats out of our treat pouch or a bowl on top, open the door, feed inside, and then close the door again. If your dog is struggling with this step and is barking or whining, you need to go back to keep desensitizing your dog to the sounds of the crate and those sorts of things. So Melvin is already relaxing, so I'm going to go ahead and give him a treat for relaxing. We're going to do the whole process again. Unlatch, hold the door, grab some treats, open the door, feed the treats towards the back, and latch. So once your dog is to the point where, like Melvin, they're just laying there waiting for their treat, this is exactly the behavior that we want. So we're going to reward him this time by releasing him out of the crate. However, when he's released, we're going to make it very boring. So he's going to want to go back in the crate to continue getting his rewards. So just like before, we're going to unlatch, hold the door, say our release word, release, good boy. And you can feed a couple boring treats on the outside. Then you're going to wait for him to go back in. Yes, good boy. If they step out a little bit, that's okay. We're just going to feed inside the crate and start the process over. So after a few repetitions, you can actually start to hold the door open a little bit longer before you reward. So that'll look something like this. You'll unlatch the door, hold the door, grab your treats, open the door. Remember to always hold the kennel door when you're doing this exercise. If your puppy tries to move forward, you're just going to close the door and start the process over, remembering that next time you'll need to make it easier. But we open the door, just like that. So if he gets up, the door shuts. He lays down, it comes back open. We feed on the inside and close again. So the goal is eventually, and Melvin is still in his crate game phase, so the goal is eventually to be able to leave the crate door open and our dogs automatically want to stay in there.
Now that our dogs have drive for going in the crate as well as staying in, we will have to teach them how to relax inside the crate, even with us in the room. For this, you might need to move your crate into different rooms if you don't have time to spend sitting around near the crate, or you could have two in different places. So all you're going to do is start with your crate games, and after a few repetitions, you're going to give them something like a chew to keep them occupied, and you're going to start your work in the same room. Your puppy should be able to see you. You don't want to close up their cover, and you're just going to move around, work on your computer, do your laundry, clean, those sorts of things. If your puppy whines or barks, you're going to move farther away from the crate.
or you can cover the crate's view of you. As soon as your puppy relaxes and calms down, so that's things like being quiet, laying down, sitting, those sorts of things, you're going to move closer to the crate or uncover the crate. Now, you're not going to reward this right away. If your puppy stays relaxed after you moved closer and uncovering, then you're going to reward heavily with treats. So, say after 30 seconds of calm, then you would give them some treats. Then your puppy whines, you cover the crate, they start relaxing and calm down, you uncover the crate, wait 30 seconds, they're still calm, you reward with treats. If they were to whine again after that 30 seconds, you would go back to covering it up and starting the cycle over. You want to set your puppy up for success. So at first, you don't want to walk too far away. You want to stay pretty close to the crate, and you want to build slowly the distance and the amount of motion and things like that. So, what are the relaxation signs? Here are a few relaxation signs in dogs. You can have their haunches or their hips are rolled while they're sitting or down. So that means that their hips are on the side instead of sitting in like a sphinx position. If they lie down, if they have a calm mouth, so that's things like no panting, it's relaxed, it's not drawn up, the head is down on the floor, your dog stretches out while they're laying down, your dog is quiet. Your dog has a smooth face, so no wrinkled brows, no super crinkled ears, and relaxed eyes. So those are things like not showing the whites of the eyes, not being super squinty, just relaxed, calm, nice puppy face. You want to reward all of these relaxation signs as you're moving around the room while your puppy's in the crate. This lesson is all about teaching our dogs to relax inside their crates. So after you have played our crate games for 15 to 20 minutes, or 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the age of your dog might look a little bit like Melvin does right now. Might be a little bit worn out and tired. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to start rewarding them for the good behavior in the crate. If Melvin decides, as we are working or moving around, if he decides to start getting up and whining and things like that, he will get one cover placed over his crate. He can still see out on this side, and he is comfortable with the cover. But if he is whining or barking, he will just have a little bit less access to the world. If he then calms down, he will get the crate opened back up so he can see everything. This is also really beneficial to have if you are planning to leave the room or keep them crated in a different room from you. If you can condition them to have a completely closed crate, it's much easier to help them transition from not having you in the room altogether. So the most important thing to remember is if your puppy is whining or barking, you either move farther away or you limit their access. If they are quiet and relaxed, you either reward with treats or you can open up their crate. So either way, they are getting rewarded for the good and the relaxation, or they are having less access to or no access to treats if they are not relaxed. So now that our puppies can relax by following that protocol while we're in the room, we have to teach them to relax while we're leaving. So we're going to have to go very, very slow with this. And this is where a cover can help, because you can just cover up your puppy and they can't quite see you leaving. They'll be able to hear you leave, but they won't be able to see that you aren't there. So if you can condition the cover to be a good thing, then you can easily transition to leaving the room. It's important to always leave them something to do. You could use a frozen treat, a high-value safe chew, those sorts of things. And if you need help finding one of those, go ahead and leave me a comment, or you can send me an email. So first, you're going to begin with just moving towards the door.
This should be easy if you are moving around in the last step of relaxing with you in the room. Over time, you want to move to opening the exit door or turning the handle. If your dog stays quiet and relaxed during these activities, you're going to return and reward super, super heavily with treats. If they are barking or whining as you are doing these activities, you're going to leave the room. You're going to stay on the other side of the door. If you hear a split second of silence with enough time to enter the room, you're going to return to the room, but you're going to ignore your puppy. You're not going to let them out. You're not going to give them a reward. You're not going to uncover them. You're just going to come back into the room. Is your puppy still silent and relaxed after a few seconds of you being in the room? Now you can uncover or move closer and reward heavily. So this is really helpful to keeping our dogs relaxed and helping them learn that relaxing and just waiting for their owner to come back results in the owner coming back. So this is actually a new room for Melvin. We just moved his crate in this room so that he can see me while I'm working. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the steps of training with him for leaving the room, because I suspect that since his crate is in a new place, we might have some old behaviors and habits starting to creep back in. So I'm just going to leave the camera here and I'll explain as I go. So the first thing I'm going to do, he's calm and relaxed in his bed right now. I'm going to feed him some treats through the bars for being calm and relaxed. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, and I'm going to exit the room. If what I suspect is correct, he might whine a little bit, but that will be great because you'll be able to see the process that I go through. So I'm going to go ahead and leave. We'll see what happens. So I was a little bit right. So he whined for a couple seconds. I waited until he was quiet, and now I'm back in the room. However, because he whined, I'm not going to give him a food reward just yet. So I'm going to wait for a few more seconds, and then I'll reward him for being quiet. This is important because we don't want our dogs to think that they are barking for our return and treat. We want them to understand that when they're quiet, that's when the owner comes back. And if they're relaxed, they get something a little bit extra. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a treat. And we're going to try it again. Now this time, I'm going to set him up for success. If he's quiet for the split second while I'm outside, I'm going to immediately come back in and give him a treat for staying quiet. Nice job, buddy. Great job. So that time, he was able to stay quiet, so I came back in and gave him a treat. And since he is still kind of new to this area with his crate, and I had his cover open, which I don't normally have, I would consider that a pretty successful crate training time. Some things to remember as you are going through these steps. You are never going to come back to your puppy while they are barking or whining. Now, this is a little bit different at night. If your puppy is barking and whining and you think they might have to go potty, absolutely go back to their crate, let them go potty, put them right back in. You always want to wait for your dog to show calm and relaxed signals to release them from their crate or return to the room. If barking occurred during a specific task, then you move too fast. Next time you want to slow down. Don't do so much. Don't leave the room maybe that time, and just stay there as they are relaxing and reward them for that relaxation. Another thing you can do is leave surprises in their crate.
You can have like a treat dispensing toy. You could even use one of those remote treat dispensers that can spit out treats. And this is really helpful just to promote that positive association, even while they don't necessarily have to be in their crate. Remember to always praise, praise, praise your puppy. Don't yell or shout. That can create a very negative association with the crate. And just remember to reward everything that's good. And reward is also praise and attention. Remember that time is your friend, and puppies grow up. They get a longer attention span. They start to feel more comfortable in your home. And that means that crate training is easier the longer you do it. Also, remember where you started. Even if your puppy is only quiet for 5 minutes longer, that's still 5 minutes that you didn't have when you first started. Another thing is, do they have something to do? Did you leave them with something to do in their crate, or did you just leave them in an empty crate? That's super important for keeping their minds occupied. Have they been out of their crate long enough? You probably can't get away with playing with your puppy for 30 minutes and then putting them in their crate for 4 hours and then only letting them out for another 30 minutes. They have to be out long enough to be tired and ready for a nap. You should also be reflecting on their past experiences. If things are not getting better, is it possible that they could have had a really, really terrible experience with a crate in the past? Remember the age of your puppy or dog. If your puppy is very, very young, they might need to be let out more often. Puppies have small bladders, so is that part of the problem? You also need to consider what's normal. You might want to set up your video camera and make sure that the behavior your puppy is displaying is normal. And also, how long have you been trying these things? Have you been trying them for 2 weeks? It might be a little bit of time to seek some help. Have you only been trying them for 2 days? You should probably keep trying. So, if the answer to these questions is that you feel like you need professional help, then it is most likely time to seek that professional help. So, before we get into questions, I do want to let you know that I am here to help you. I have virtual lessons available to anyone. Just go ahead and send me a message or an email, and I would be happy to help you personally with your crate training or deciding whether your puppy's behavior is normal. So, with that, do you have any questions? If so, please leave them in the comments and I will answer them to the best of my ability. So, thank you all for listening, and I hope you get a lot out of this crate training and separation masterclass. See you next time.